Alright, on these last two examples, hopefully you're just checking your work. On this first one, you should have recognized that we need to use copy, change, change. And so if I copy, change, change, I've got two different signs. I've got a positive and a negative. And so what I have to do here is I have to subtract. So I'm going to be doing 8 2/3 minus 1 8/9. 8 is the bigger whole number, so I'm going to start with 8, and I'm doing 8 2/3 minus 1 8/9. And then I'm going to keep the sign of the higher number, which in this case is negative, so I'll have to come back to that negative at the end for my answer. If I need to subtract, I have to create common denominators. In this case, my common denominator is 9. And so 9 is actually already set, but 8 2/3 is the same as 8 6/9 minus 1 8/9. Well, I can do 8 minus 1, I cannot do 6/9 minus 8/9. So I'm going to have to do that borrowing technique where I take 1 away from my whole number 8 and make it a 7. And then I have to add 9/9 to my fraction because I took 1 whole away here, so I have to add 1 whole to my fraction, and I get 7 15/9 minus 1 8/9. 7 minus 1 is 6. 15 minus 8 is 7. Keep my denominator of 9. And don't forget, we said we had to come back and do this negative. Negative 6 7/9 should be my final answer. If I want to make sure that my answer makes sense, we can think about this as 2 plus negative 9. And 2 plus negative 9 would be negative 7. This answer seems so close to negative 7 that we agree that it makes sense. And my answer then is negative 6 7/9. Again, if you go back to make sure that your answer makes sense, you might catch a negative error if you forgot to go back and add the negative with your answer, which is always a good thing. The next example, we also use copy, change, change. And when we do that, we get 2 7/8 plus 2 7/8. My denominators are the same, and so I can add my whole numbers. 2 plus 2 is 4. 7/8 plus 7/8 is 14/8. My denominator stays the same, and I just add my numerators. Now, 14/8 is an improper fraction, so I'm going to take 8/8 away from here and put it into part of my whole number, so 4 becomes 5, and 14 minus 8 is 6 left over, 5 6/8. And then you should have had to simplify this fraction and recognize that 6 and 8 are both even, so 2 goes into both of them. So if I divide both top and bottom by 2, I get 5 3/4 as my final answer. So 2 7/8 plus 2 7/8 is final answer 5 3/4.